Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Advisor with Stacey Chillemi. And today I'm so excited because we have Kimberly here today, and she is a naturopath, and she has a clinic in Texas. And today she's going to be talking about longevity and how we can improve our lives to increase our longevity and have the most powerful, healthy, happy, and productive life that we were meant to have. Kimberly, I'm so excited to have you on the show. I love this topic. This is something that I love to talk about because it's so important and there are so many tips and so many words of advice you probably could help people so they can improve their overall health. But before we begin, can you just tell people a little about yourself and what you do?
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me. I'm excited to chat with you today. I have a clinic in Texas. I see people both in person and remotely. And what I really try to focus on is root cause, right? What is causing the problem so we can fix that and the person can move forward and live a happy, healthy life. I also work with a lot of people that just really want to people will come see me a little bit older and they're like, I'm healthy, but I really want to stay healthy as I age. How can I do that? And so it's fun, it's fun to help people improve their health, and it's fun to watch people stay healthy and keep a really high quality of life as they age.
Definitely. And I see people go to naturopaths so much when they're younger. I mean, when they as they get older, a lot of them start around, they're in their 40s, or late 30s. I see a lot of people starting to go to naturopaths. But when I see a lot of times I'll go into an office and I will see a lot of older people go there. And it helps them feel their ultimate self because it really brings back a lot of energy, vitality, and they just, they feel a lot younger than they actually are because they're going the natural route and they have a doctor who is guiding them along the way and leading them in the right direction on how to live their life so they could actually, look at what they're deficient in, what they need, what they don't need. And they get a good idea how to live, a really fulfilling life. Now, before we begin, I was just curious, what made you want to go into this area of becoming a naturopath?
So I wanted to be a medical doctor when I was young, and I started out working in a nursing home. And I always say, when you start out at the end, you know what you don't want.
Yeah.
Um, I gave medication and shots in a nursing home, and it was really, really eye-opening seeing. I grew up very holistic, so seeing medication, what it did, what happened, kind of the trajectory of someone's life as they were put on more and more medications, and I just became really disheartened.
Yeah.
Decided I didn't want to go to medical school, and just went on my life's path. And then when I was in my early 30s, I got pretty sick. I was working full time, raising a daughter, and I was doing a lot of endurance racing.
Yeah.
And I just ran myself into the ground. Didn't really know exactly what was wrong. Went to a couple of medical doctors, didn't get any help, and then just kind of figured out that I needed to figure it out myself. I did end up finding a really great functional medicine doctor and working with her. But that's really what led me back to, okay, this is my purpose. This is what I want to do. But I want to be a naturopathic practitioner and work with people from a root cause standpoint and help them get healthy and stay healthy so they have a high quality of life.
I love that. I love that. And when I used to go to the nursing homes and I go to assistant living homes and I would help out, I would just be it was so heartbreaking because a lot of these people, they just being there and not feeling they're 100% and remembering what they used to be and now seeing what they are right now was
Yeah.
so many of them felt so depressed and it was just a very sad thing to see. And I think if you could become a naturopath or if you can go into that area of medicine where you are able to help people feel so good at an early age and maintain that as they get older, what a difference. What a difference it does. And I see people as they get older and they live that holistic life and they really they just feel their best. I know a woman that could do splits at the age of 80. It's just amazing,
That's awesome.
Yeah, what are some of the ways that you can increase your longevity? Like, what are some things that people can really focus on?
So I think one of the most important things you can do to make sure you age well and keep your quality of life is focus on lean body mass. As we age, we start losing muscle. Women, even more so, right? As we go through menopause and our
Right.
testosterone drops off. And then the other piece of that is, when we're in our 20s, it takes about 20 grams of protein to create protein synthesis in the muscle.
Mm-hmm.
By the time we're 40, it takes over 40 grams to create that same process. And
Yeah.
so getting people to understand you need more protein as you age. And you also need an amino acid reserve to
Mm-hmm.
heal and for your body to repair.
Yeah.
If you don't have that, so many amazing things don't happen the way they're supposed to. And so, really getting people to understand the value of protein as you
Yeah.
age, and maintaining muscle mass, right? Because it's our strength, it's our stability, it's our agility.
Mm-hmm.
Those things, they become much more, you see how valuable they are as someone gets older, right? When you watch
Right.
them and they're unsteady or they don't have balance or they're just weak and they are in a chair struggling to get back to a standing position, like you really see the value of, oh yeah, a little muscle would help out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so I would say that's one of my favorite things is to educate people about, hey, here is a really simple way to increase the quality of your life as you age.
I like that. I like that a lot because I think a lot of people don't focus on the protein issue. It's so important to have protein in your daily diet, and we forget that as we get older, we need more,
Yeah.
and people don't realize that, and they continue to have X amount of protein in their diet, and their body is really craving a lot more than they are having.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, I always tell people you're not going to hit those numbers on accident. I'm a big fan of 1 gram of protein per ideal pound of body weight. And you just don't do that by accident. You have to have a plan and a lot of times, for a lot of people, you got to track for a little while till you become familiar with what it looks like to have a certain amount of protein. And then, it just becomes a daily, like, okay, this is part of my daily thing. I've
Yeah.
got to hit my numbers so I, stay strong.
Right, right. 100%. 100%. Now, do you suggest that people do protein drinks? Do you think it's just you focus on the food, like food for medicine? It's really what our daily diet consists of. Because you have so many people like in on the stores, how many protein, powders do you see? How many protein drinks do you see? And then you have on the other side people who really emphasize, it's not all these protein drinks, it's really what we put in our daily diet.
This is what I will say. I'm a big fan of let's eat real food.
Hmm.
If you can't hit those numbers, supplementing with some protein powder is not a bad thing.
Right.
I'm also a huge, huge fan of using an essential amino acid supplement.
Hmm.
Especially when you talking about older people that maybe their digestion isn't quite what it used to be.
Yeah.
You can take those essential aminos. It has all the amino acids that make up meat and
Mm.
help supplement what you're getting through food. So I think I use essential aminos every day. I don't do protein powder every day, but I do the
Right.
essential aminos every day to make sure I'm getting plenty of the resources that I need, the building blocks for my body.
Right.
But I do tell people, I'm like, if you need to use protein powder, it's okay. Don't sweat it. Just when you can eat real food, do. It's less processed, right? And I
Right.
think there's some magic in that,
Yes. Oh
in just
yeah.
full real food. But if you're struggling to hit your number and a protein shake helps you get there, I think it's better than not doing it.
Exactly, exactly. And I think people have to be so careful of what they're putting in their diet because there's so many things out there that they market it so corruptly. They make it look like it's healthy. They put the word healthy on the
Yeah.
label and it's not really
Yeah.
healthy. So
Oh, I mean, look at all the garbage food that says organic on it. And I'm like,
yes.
it's still just highly processed junk mixed
Hmm.
together. Just because it's organic doesn't make it healthy.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. I think a lot of people think because it has the word organic on it. But
Yeah.
even in our laws, you can put X, Y, and Z and then you can call it organic and then the rest you could put a bunch of junk in and they don't care.
Yeah. That I think organic, gluten-free, there's just certain words they use that it's a little bit of trickery with people. And they're like, oh, yeah, it's gluten-free. And I'm like, but it's junk,
Hmm.
you know? So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a really, really big fan of just the less processed your food is, the better.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I even you notice too when you're eating whole food and you're eating healthy food, you get full a lot quicker. You could have smaller portions and you feel a lot fuller. And it's because the food is natural and it's not all these ingredients that are making you more feel more hungry when you're really not.
Exactly. Agreed.
What are some of the other things that we can do to help increase our longevity?
I think it's a lot of fun to talk about peptide bioregulators because
Hmm.
most people aren't familiar with them. So most of us are familiar with peptides, right? BP 157 or CJC, epimuralin, all these different semaglutide, that's a peptide.
Right.
We have proteins, which are long chains of amino acids. The peptides that most people are familiar with that are shorter chains of amino acids. And then we have peptide bioregulators that are extremely short chains of amino acids. They're either two, three, or four amino acids strung together. Why does that matter? Well, those tiny little strings of amino acid, they're really small and they're able to move through the nuclear and cellular membrane and attach right to the DNA and do all sorts of really wonderful repair work.
Mm.
And so they're really cool in that way that they
Yeah.
just are able to do things that other larger chains of amino acids aren't able to do. Um, I kind of discovered them by accident. I was looking for something to help a patient that had kidney damage and came across some of Dr. Kavinson's work. He was a doctor in Russia, and clinical data isn't shared between a lot of different countries. And
Right.
um, Dr. Kavinson he discovered and clinically studied peptide bioregulators for over 40 years.
Wow.
He was tasked with helping the cosmonauts recover from a lot of the radiation, that they'd been exposed to, and some other things. And he developed these peptide bioregulators, and he found that certain, two, three, or four amino acids strung together would affect certain systems of the body. So go in, and he described it as retreading the tire. There's a doctor, a PhD scientist here in the US that discovered his work and studied with him, Dr. Bill Lawrence. And Dr. Lawrence, I heard him describe peptide bioregulators as repairing our repair systems, which I love because it totally makes sense, right? As
Yeah.
we age, our bodies, I always say to people, like when we're young, our metabolic rate is here and disease is here. And
Yeah.
as we age, that shifts.
Yes.
And so getting the repair done so that metabolically we can keep up is
Yeah.
where the magic is. And that's what the peptide bioregulators do. So are regulators for the vascular system, for the pancreas, the heart, the ovaries, the brain, the retina, all these different areas of the body. There's 20 some peptide bioregulators. And
Right.
I've just seen really phenomenal results with them. I do a longevity protocol based off Dr. Bill Lawrence's work. We'll do a true diagnostic test, look at DNA methylation, telomere length, kind of see how your systems of the body are aging. And then we'll use peptide bioregulators for about a year
Right.
and then retest. What Dr. Cavinson found is that most of his patients that were put on the peptide bioregulators and pulsed for a year, they would see a 7-year reduction in their biological age, which is pretty significant.
Yeah.
He found people that used the bioregulators for 2 to 3 years and then stopped lived an average of 15 years longer. And he was studying people up in Siberia and,
Yeah.
really rough parts of the world that, where people are working on oil rigs and,
Yeah.
not some cushy posh life.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
His clinical research is absolutely amazing. So they've been a lot of fun to work with people, and with the testing, you're able to see areas of their body that need more work, and so you can
Right.
address those systems more regularly throughout the year to help them repair. They're literally just amino acids that you're working with, so incredibly safe. I heard Dr. Cavinson in a lecture say that he had used them on hundreds of thousands of patients and never seen an adverse reaction. So
Wow.
that's also significant. We live in a time when people tend to be really allergic to things. So
Yeah.
they're very safe, very easy to use. And I've seen some really phenomenal results with them.
Wow. Wow. So would you suggest that people start to incorporate them into their daily diets and start to use them on a routine basis?
Absolutely. I mean, there's no reason not to.
Hmm.
I have a pretty large older population that comes to see me, and it has been so fun to watch so many of these people improve, right? Their vascular function, their kidney function, their whatever it might be. I've seen just some really astonishing results. It's I have a lady I worked with for a while. She had cancer. She had been hospitalized about 6 months before she came to see me, and she had had a medication given to her that damaged her kidneys. So now she has a nephrologist too, right? And her nephrologist said, there's nothing you can do, nothing you can take. Your kidneys are damaged. We'll just meet every 6 months, keep an eye on them. So when she came to me, she said, do you think there's anything we can do for my kidneys? And I said, yeah, I do. I knew we could use the kidney bioregulator. And I started giving them to her. And we had run labs before, at the beginning of before we started working together. And then she had been on the bioregulators for about 15 days, and her nephrologist ordered updated labs for her upcoming appointment with him. When she got the results, she called me super excited, and she's like, you are not going to believe this. Every single one of my kidney markers has improved by several points.
Wow.
And she went to see him, and she's like, hey, I thought you said my kidney markers couldn't improve. And he said, I don't have anything that'll do this. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it.
Yeah.
So, stories like that are they're so fun. It's so amazing how incredibly capable your body is of healing if it
Yes.
has the right tools.
100%. 100%. It's really amazing because I have taken, different types of natural supplements and natural things. And, I went from one extremity where, certain things weren't functioning well to all of a sudden they were at their peak and they're functioning great. So it's really, having someone guide you and knowing what to do and really, really guiding you along the way. A lot of things, could happen, if you take the right things and you eat the right foods and you're doing what you're supposed to, your body can heal itself in many instances. And I don't think people realize that.
Totally. I mean, I just said this to someone the other day. I said, you know what amazes me is that when someone gets sick and they go to a traditional doctor, there's almost no conversation around what are you doing with your diet and exercise?
Hmm.
Hey, what you're doing isn't working. Let's change that first.
Yes.
It's like this is so like what we eat is what we're made up of, what our
Yes.
cells are made of. And there's no conversation about, hey, we need to make some changes here. Like that's kind of thought of as woo-woo or alternative when it should be the very first thing we address, you know?
Yes. Hmm. The sad thing is they're not taught this in medical school, so they know nothing about it. So, there are so many times where I've gotten to doctors, had no conversation like that, and immediately they wanted to just go to the extreme. Maybe we'll remove this, or put you on this. And I'm like, you're not going to put me on this, and that's terrible for your body. And no, I'm not going to go and go for surgery when I don't even need it, because a lot of doctors in especially specialists, they see out of a little triangle and they can't see outside that triangle.
And it's literally just what they're taught, right? It's what they know, which I'm a big believer of question everything.
Yes.
Like ask questions because that's how we learn is by being curious and learning to think outside the box, but also think critically.
Yes.
I, it's we're always learning new things and new things are changing. I remember when I got sick and I went to see the first medical doctor, and I asked him if my adrenals could have anything to do with all the symptoms I was experiencing. And he said to me, you know, they were just starting to like really talk about that when I finished medical school, but I wasn't trained on it. So I don't really know if it's a thing. And I wanted to go, wait, did you hear what you just said? Just because you don't know about it makes it not real.
Yeah,
It is
exactly.
so ridiculous, like, but there didn't seem to be any curiosity, like, hey, maybe I should learn more about this, like,
Hmm.
be a thing. And yeah, I think, if I whoever I see as a physician, I want them to be curious. I want them to want to continue to learn and grow because we're always learning more and new things that can help us better care for people.
100%. 100%. Now, what are some of the other things that you might suggest to improve your longevity?
I'm a big fan of regular comprehensive labs.
Hmm.
And I run like 120, 121 markers on people. And most people get them about once a year. And I think that it is an easy way to address things before the wheels come off.
100%. Yes.
It's just one of those little things you can make sure things are smooth sailing. And if something starts to move a little out of line, you go, let's put it back between the guardrails and fix it before it becomes a much bigger, much harder to fix issue. So I think little things like that can have a massive impact on trajectory.
Right, right. Oh, I agree 100%. I think it's so important to get comprehensive blood work. I think everybody should get comprehensive blood work at least 1 or 2 times a year just to compare and to see where they're at. And I've gone to doctors that give really comprehensive blood work, and then I've gone to doctors and they test you for just a few things, and I'm like, what is this? Because there's so many things that they could look at that could actually be signals, that something you're headed on towards a problem. Let's fix this before it becomes a problem. And
Yep.
doctors don't do that. Like regular primary doctors just look within the range.
Mhm.
They test a few things, and if you're in that range, okay, you're good. Go home, and if you're not, they give you a prescription and I'll see you, in a couple of weeks, or a
Yep.
month, and that's not the answer.
Not at all. I totally agree with you. One of the most common places I see that is like with metabolic health, right? I I don't think I've ever had someone bring me a fasting insulin, which I get when I have labs ordered on patients. They'll have their fasting glucose, but they never have fasting insulin.
Mm-hmm.
Fasting insulin goes up for most people long before their glucose starts to go up.
Right.
So, someone may say, oh, yeah, like my glucose has been, just a little bit elevated for the last few years, but no big deal. And I'm like, what's your fasting insulin? And they're like, huh? You'll get back fasting insulin and it's really high. And they're headed for a disaster if we don't get that fixed. And
Yes.
it's a warning sign, it's a red flag long before the person's diabetic. And
Right.
so there's just simple things like that that we can do to keep the wheels on nice and snug the way we want them.
Exactly. Exactly. Now, are there other things that we could do to help our longevity?
Exercise. I think exercise is one of the biggest areas of opportunity for most people. So
Yes.
many people don't want to do it, but it is literally life changing. If you want to live for a long time, you have to move your body.
Yes.
You need to strength train and you need to move. Just, I tell people it doesn't have to be complicated or hard. Walk. Your body needs movement to be healthy.
100%, 100%. Now, a lot of people think you have to be in the gym for 5 hours in order to get like exercise. It's so untrue. Like, what would you suggest is a good amount of time for somebody to get a good amount of movement so they can stay healthy on a daily basis?
Oh, this is a fun one. So I have been talking recently about exercise snacking. I don't know if you're
Hmm.
familiar with the term.
No.
Some research has been done they took two groups of people, one that was in the gym, and I think that group was like a minimum of 45 minutes. And then they took another group of people and they had them every hour at work either do like some push-ups, a handful of push-ups or air squats or you know, whatever it was,
Yeah.
movement for a minute or two, but it was done every hour throughout their day. Surprisingly, the group that did this exercise snacking
Hmm.
actually ended up better at the end of the study. And so I tell people, like, all your excuses have been taken away. You do not need an hour to 2 hours in the gym. You just need to move. You need to get your heart pumping, your blood moving. It doesn't have to be complicated. And I think people overcomplicate it. They think,
Yeah.
oh, I don't know about doing this or that. Like, there just aren't any excuses at this point. Like, open up your computer, open up YouTube, and you can find someone showing you how to do anything you want to do.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
so, go to work and set a timer on your phone. Every hour, do 10 push-ups or 20 air squats or, walk up and down the hallway. But sitting is the new smoking. It is
Yeah.
the disease of our time, and we have to move to be healthy. And so, if you can get people to incorporate movement into their day, it's life changing.
It is definitely life changing. I agree 100% with you. Just a little bit of movement to circulate the blood and to just, could help you so much. It can even help you with chronic pain, because a lot of people, if he's on the couch, you get more, if someone's suffering from pain, their muscles are going to tighten up. They're going to feel more pain and more uncomfortable. It's just, you got to just get around and move a little bit.
Absolutely. That is a conversation I have with people all the time. And I do a free initial consult with anyone that comes to see me or books in for an appointment, online. And
Mhm.
I always tell people in that time, like, if you want to get better, you have to be open to like making changes to your diet if needed,
Yes,
and you have to be willing to move. And it can start very small, but you will not see your health increase or maintained if you're not willing to move. It's
Right.
just integral to our health.
100%, 100%. Now, if you had to take today's conversation and you really wanted to focus on some important things that you'd like to emphasize, what are some important takeaways that you'd like to give the audience today?
Take 1 week and track your protein.
Hmm.
Most people grossly overestimate how much protein they eat. I see it all the time.
Yes.
1 gram per ideal pound of body weight. So if 150 is a great weight for you, 150 grams of protein. If you are at half of that, then shoot for 100 grams and get that down, and then shoot for 125 grams. Rome wasn't built in a day.
Hmm.
Not looking for perfection. We're looking
Right.
for progress. And so I always encourage people to work from a place of progress, right? Most people aren't successful if they try to just completely flip their life upside down. But
Yeah.
if you take it in little steps, it's like eating an elephant, right? How do you do
Yeah.
it? One bite at a time.
Hmm.
So just start adding little things. Maybe you focus on your protein first. And then when you get that down, you go, okay, I'm going to walk for 10 minutes every morning before work. When you get that down, maybe you add 10 minutes after dinner.
Right.
You can make these small changes that will be really, really meaningful if they're done consistently.
Right. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. And I think it's so important, to consistently, emphasize on the protein. People don't realize how important protein is and how important acids are and how important peptides are. These are things they really need to like keep in their brain and embed it and maybe if they don't understand, maybe encourage them to do some research and learn more about it and why it's so important as we age. Do you think maybe like a food journal or just a health journal and just keep track of what you're doing would be a good idea for people?
Absolutely. I think for some people, that's a game changer, because you can look back and go, oh, wow, yikes, I probably need to change my diet, or whether you kind of record your movement in there too, but there's a level of accountability associated with it, and that can be really valuable.
Right. Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. Now, can you tell me and tell the audience about the different services that you provide?
Absolutely. So I do a lot of what I would refer to as health planning, right? So a lot of working with people for a 6 or 12 month period to help them regain their health or really just achieve, optimal wellness. Um, we do a lot of IV therapy in our clinic.
Mhm.
I work with a lot of people remotely, and obviously, there's no IVs included there, but we can do a lot of things with supplementation, peptide bioregulators, and then just having, every 2 weeks, having communication like this where there's that level of accountability to the person.
Yeah.
Okay, what are you doing right? Where are your challenges? And how can I support you with making the changes that are going to create health for you long term? So those are kind of the things that we do, and I would say the biggest thing that I think is really helpful to people is I only work with so many people at one time because I want it to be very personal,
Yeah.
and I want to have plenty of time available for the people I'm working with so that they don't feel rushed and they're able to get that one-on-one that they need
Yes.
to see big changes in their health.
I like that. I like that a lot. Now, how can people contact you if they want to contact you?
Yeah, so my website's probably the easiest place. All my contact info is there, including you can book in for a free initial consult.
Hmm.
I book out an hour and a half for you, and I don't charge you. I joke and say it's like a first date. It's a great opportunity for us to see if we're a good fit to work with each other.
I love
Um,
it.
I like working with people that are motivated to make change to get better, and I have to be the right fit for them.
Right.
Um, so that's a great place to find me on my website, which is avita-wellness.com. Avita is AVITA wellness.com. I blog regularly on my website. And so there's just some really good information, whether you want to talk about perimenopause or, you know, ED. I've got it kind of all on there,
Yeah.
cortisol issues. Lots of good information, just little, 3 to 5 minute reads you can also find on there if you're looking for some information.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, this has been amazing. Thank you so much, Kimberly, for coming on this show. I really enjoyed talking about this topic because it's so important. People are very interested in longevity. They want to live longer. They want to be healthier, but sometimes they just don't know what are the important aspects that they need to focus on. And you hit everything right on the button today. So I have to really thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your expertise with us. And I really enjoyed our conversation. I hope to see you again in the future.
Thanks for having me. It's been great talking.
Oh, same here. You have a great day.
You too.